In the middle of the 20th century, the telephone started ringing all across America as rumors of my existence started circulating. Even in those dim and distant days, I could hear the insect buzz of a million conversations, from California to Metropolis and back again. An entire continent was waking up to realize that their lives were soon to change, forever.
Lois Lane. Luther. Lois Luther. Aw, don't be such a jerk, Chief. It's 6 a.m., and some of us have social lives. No, we haven't heard the radio. What's happened?
Who knows, sweetheart, because Washington just called and promised us the story of the century. What's the inside scoop? Well, between you and me, kid, rumor has it Soviets just developed a brand new kind of super weapon.
My fellow Americans, the Soviet authorities released to the world secret government pictures of a costume individual more effective than our hydrogen bomb, an alien Superman committed to communist ideals, whose very existence threatens to alter our position as a world superpower forever.
Great Caesar's ghosts. Supermen spotted in Denver, Supermen sighted in Nebraska, Supermen seen hovering over a field in Arkansas. What the hell's going on here, Lois? It's like the whole damn country's seeing red capes under their beds.
Pentagon just confirmed 3 more superpowers, Chief. Strength, speed, and flight. Receptionist also added super breath when I offered her $20.
Super breath? What in God's name is super breath? Is everybody on this planet going nuts?
That's absolutely correct, sir. I was just coming off duty when I saw a human-shaped figure zip past me, and then I heard laughing up there in the clouds. Rumor has it his bosses back in Moscow are pushing for a full-blown invasion in a matter of weeks now.
Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman! Superman, strange visitor from another world who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, as the champion of the common worker, fights a never-ending battle for Stalin, socialism, and the international expansion of the Warsaw Pact. Superman, pride of the Soviet state, symbol of our military might.
Give me a break. Who writes this stuff?
Let our enemies beware. There is only one superpower now.
The feds, the army, and the CIA are all officially obsolete, boys and girls. Call STAR Labs and get me Dr. Lex Luthor on the phone. The Cold War has just evolved into a whole new animal.
Board 11, knight to f7, checkmate. Board 12, rook to b3, checkmate. Board 14, queen to f4, checkmate. One moment, young man. Just let me switch off this portable tape recorder I designed in the washroom this morning. I'm teaching myself Urdu while I'm keeping my mind busy reading and playing chess with the monkeys. I assume you're Agent Olsen, of course. You had an appointment, Agent Olsen. Please, step into my lab and let me show you where I am with this anti-Superman deterrent you're paying such ludicrous amounts of money for.
Holy smokes, now this is even worse than I thought. When are you actually going to start working on this thing, Doctor? Because it doesn't look like you've done a thing in 3 damn months.
Here, just tell the president that he can use this formula I scribbled together to balance the federal budget. If he leaves me alone, I'll give him a permanent cure for inflation, too.
What? You balanced the budget just like that?
No, I gave him the formula to balance the budget, young man. The Treasury will have to punch in the numbers. Solving problems is just like eating or breathing for me, and this Superman you're all worried about is just another problem. Rest assured, I'll be in touch when I've cracked it.
Why is the volume turned down so low, honey? It's a quiz show. You love quiz shows.
I'm teaching myself how to lip read, Lois. It only just occurred to me this afternoon that I didn't know how. You can turn it back up again if it's bothering you.
What bothers me is talking to someone between chess moves. Don't tell me. Another computer system you designed on the way home from work?
I can't help it, darling. People are just too easy to beat. Is that the first edition of the morning paper?
Only technically. Russia winning the Cold War. Russia winning the space race. Stalin's Russian Superman is watching your every move from the skies. I feel like we've been printing the same depressing story for months now.
Daily Planets, Sputnik, Metropolis, Superman, Space Race, Sputnik, Globe. Oh, Metropolis. Good grief, how could I have been such an idiot? This is Lex Luthor, STAR clearance code 1350 Bravo. I want to speak to the president, and I don't care if he's in a meeting. This is indescribably more important, young lady.
What's going on, Lex? What happened? Have you figured out a way to beat
I'm
Superman
sorry,
or
darling,
something?
but I'm afraid that it is official government information on a need-to-know capacity now. Ike, Lex here. Sir, I need 100 technicians, $10 million, and permission to crash a Soviet satellite into a highly populated area. Of course, you can think for a minute.
I had made quite an impression in the 14 weeks since I made my journey from the farmlands to Moscow. Some still thought me a trick of the light or an urban myth, but each new day saw another super feat or some death-defying rescue. And in my more introspective moments, I even wondered if the people were behaving more carelessly in hopes that they might catch a glimpse of their gaudy circus clown. Comrade Secretary, this is a priority alert. We have lost control of Sputnik 2 and the satellite is plummeting towards Earth's surface.
The Americans. They must have sabotaged us. How else could a satellite change course like that?
Flight trajectory looks like it's heading towards a populated area somewhere in the upper hemisphere, sir. North of Peru? North of Cuba? Oh my god. It's coming down in America! They called me a soldier, but that just wasn't true. I was never a soldier. Soldiers always follow orders. A soldier knows and hates his enemy. A soldier only fights and dies for his own people. I just fought for what was right. Sputnik 2 weighed 5,000 pounds. This mass multiplied by an acceleration factor of 100 meters per second would have delivered a force powerful enough to level an entire city. In hindsight, I could have vaporized it with my heat vision, slowed its descent with my super breath, or even optimized the craft with a calculated blow. Instead, I chose for the most exciting form of action. These powers were still new to me then. You understand? Exactly 3 seconds after hitting the roof of the newspaper office, I realized the damage done to the building's suspension. A cluster of support cables groaned and snapped. People below screamed for someone to save them, not my people. But I never refuse a cry for help. All the lies they spread about me, all the propaganda they engineered at the height of the Cold War, none of it mattered for a while in that bright afternoon. Just for a single moment, they realized that I was here to save them.
Oh my god.
6 million lives spared, and an incident that might have sparked a war averted. And my most potent memory of that day was 5.5 feet tall and wearing Chanel number 5. She felt it too. I know she did. But neither of us could act on this impulse. Not while she had a gold ringer on her third finger and a creased photograph of a somber, red-headed scientist in her purse. Centuries later, after 1,000 interpretations of this meeting, a famous poet would write an alternate history of the world, where Lois Luthor and I became lovers. His story would go on to win the Poet's Prize and become the biggest selling fictional book of all time. Even now, I still don't know what appeals to people about this notion, what chord it struck with the public imagination, and I don't suppose we ever will in this lifetime.
Magnificent, isn't he? Absolutely magnificent. I knew these random acts of heroism wouldn't be confined to the parameters of Mother Russia.
What made you so sure he'd actually be able to save us, Dr. Luther?
Mathematics, Olson. Pure mathematics. Now, make sure they raise that satellite from the water precisely as I described. The information he left on that hole is essential, especially if our dear friend in the White House expects me to build him a Superman of our own.
Weeks pass, and 1,000 rescues later, they decide to throw a welcome parade for me. I can remember every single silly detail of that day in Red Square. Every face in the crowd. Every pimple on every face of every cheering worker. Their poor, confused expressions at this champion from the farmlands, who couldn't even stand still for more than 10 seconds at a time.
Ugh, don't tell me there's another emergency Superman.
A chemical plant on fire, 3,000 miles west of Vladivostok. Just give me 10 or 15 minutes.
He's got the attention span of an asbestic 2-year-old, hasn't he? Imagine not even being able to sit through your own damn parade.
Well, what's he supposed to do, Captain? Stand there and grin like an idiot while he can hear people screaming for their lives?
How could you bring this alien from the Ukraine into our inner circle to this degree?
Because they love him, my boy. He was raised to believe in everything I stand for, and he makes Russia feel as indestructible as he is.
But I'm the one you've been grooming for the top. I've been preparing for this since I was 8 years old. If Superman succeeds you, he could be there for 1,000,000 years for all we know.
Who cares if he succeeds me? You made chief of the MKVD by 25, Peter.
So what are you saying? That it all end here? That I've peaked before I'm 30?
No. I'm saying you should watch your tongue and remember who you are speaking to, my jealous little captain. Bear in mind you're only one of a number of illegitimate children I have out there, you know.
What's wrong, Superman? You look so sad. I hope this isn't anything to do with my terrible Russian.
It's just this whole Superman Day fuss. Parties and parades. They just aren't really me.
Oh, I know what you mean. There's always something being held in my honor back on Paradise Island, too.
I hope tonight isn't too boring for you.
Great Heron, no! Not in the slightest. I'm actually having a wonderful time. I mean, think about it. How often do I get to meet someone like me?
I see someone's enjoying herself, eh?
Oh, Superman's really nice, Mother. You should talk to him. He's really not like the other men at all. You know, he seems a few inches taller.
That Diana would make a fine wife when she makes her voyage to the man's world, Superman. Just imagine what kind of children you could raise, eh?
I prefer to choose my own wife, Comrade Stalin. Besides, this notion that you have about me wanting to leave the party is really quite a misconception. I'm scanning Moscow for your chief of police, sir. I've noticed he isn't at the party, and I just want to make sure that he's okay. There's no sign of him anywhere.
Oh, for God's sake, who cares about Peter Roslov?
I care. About everyone, sir. Ah, there he is. You have to excuse me for a moment, comrade. Catch.
What are you doing here, Superman?
You weren't at the party, and I just wondered what happened to you, Peter. You've been acting quite irrational lately, and I'm genuinely concerned.
What are you thinking, you idiot? You don't even know me. Would you please stop fixing things? You're driving me out of my mind.
I only fix things that are broken, Peter. Now please take a seat. Let's just sit down and talk about whatever is getting you so upset here.
You mean besides the total stranger meddling in my affairs? Believe me, Superman. You're the last guy I can talk about my problems with.
He didn't actually invite you to the party, did he?
No, because all Comrade Stalin wants to do now is show off his indestructible man of steel, my friend. The rest of us can go to hell.
This doesn't have to be a competition.
That's easy for you to say when you're streaking through the skies, Superman. Not much fun when you're down here working in the gutters like the rest of us. Did you hear about the purge last week, Superman? 2 dissidents printing anti-Superman pamphlets or something. I forget the details. All I remember is the boy. What are you looking at, boy? Don't you know it's against the law to stare at the chief of police? Bullets kill little boys too, you know. Go on, get out of my sight. Your parents are dead. Don't walk. Run! Weird little runt. You'll probably grow up just like your idiot father. The kid couldn't have been more than 9 years old, but his glare would have stopped a clock from ticking. Those weren't a child's eyes. They looked too patient. I'll never, ever forget the way the boy stared at me. Somebody said he threw himself into the Moscow River. Others said that he disappeared into the sewers to lick his wounds and swear his revenge. I shot his parents. What does that do to a boy, Superman? It wasn't until you appeared that I realized how horrible and vile my job really is.
No. You're really going to hurt yourself soon if you don't cut out all this heavy drinking, Peter.
Damn you! They might all think you're wonderful now, but I know where this is going, alien. Your interference is going to be the worst thing that's ever happened to us. You mark my words. Oh, Jesus. I've done a terrible thing, Superman. Father made me so angry this morning and I arranged...
Wait, what?
I said...
No, not you. 200 miles away. There's someone shouting for help in Moscow. Wait here.
Superman, help us! You're wasting your time! Just get the doctor! What does Superman know about medicine?
What are you talking about? He's Superman, you idiot. He can do anything.
Gentlemen, I believe Comrade Stalin's respiratory and enzyme systems are under attack from acute cyanide poisoning. I've already told the medical team to place him under total body monitoring while I work in the labs on an effective antitoxin.
I'm sorry, Captain, you can't go in there! Who the hell do you think you are telling me where to go, you little snot? Father? Oh my god. I've only ever seen him standing up before, Superman. It's so horrible seeing him like this. So small and vulnerable. He looks like a rag doll.
Captain Roslov was devastated by the old man's death. We all were. He didn't rest until he found the man who poisoned him and had him shot in Red Square in full public view. I was so distracted by the whole thing that I was barely paying attention to events abroad.
This is unbelievable. I feel like I'm on the set of a science fiction movie or something. How is this stuff you've been building here even possible, for God's sake?
Because the world as we know it becomes a little more impossible every day, Agent Olsen. What is it about this man of steel that makes my head work so much faster, eh?
I don't know, sir, but we're not complaining.
Norman Rockwell, apple pie, stars and stripes, and the 4th of July, Agent Olsen. The president asked me to design a figure who might encapsulate all of these things and give America back our much-needed swagger.
Holy smokes.
Young man, I'd like you to meet Superman 2.
Heck, no wonder Ike won't let the cameras within 100 yards of the freak. Our Superman looks just like I feel.
Hey, you want to keep it down a little, guys? He might be a freak, but he also happens to be just about the last guy in the world I'd want to tick off. You know what I'm saying?
What are you talking about, moron? We're 1 mile below the thing.
Buddy, our guy could hear a gnat take a leak in Indochina, my friend. Believe me, he's listening to every damn word.
Pardon me if my English isn't perfect, but these shores are off limits, comrade. Noses bled, heads pounded, birds became irradiated and dropped from the skies for 50 miles around. The effects were devastating, absolutely devastating. The submarine was a Grayback class SSG-574 carrying 4 Regulus 1 missiles. 3 of them stayed exactly where they should have. Good God! England, London, Oxford Street, and 258 innocent bystanders are dead before I even hit the ground. Even now, even after all these years, I can still hear the sound of them snap. A second later, 1 single second, and the body count tripled. Perhaps you misunderstand. Your presence here is an aggressive act. This country doesn't need American protection. You are the monster here. You are the one who needs to be contained.
It's getting up! Kill it, Superman! For God's sake, finish it off!
Go home and tell your president to mind his own affairs. Nobody wants you or your weapons here. Suddenly, the clock stopped. Time ground to a halt as it always does for our kind when a decision must be made. The duplicate and I exchanged glances. 2 moving objects on a static, frozen background. We both knew that one of us was going to have to make a choice. To this day, his true intentions remain a mystery to me. I often wonder if he knew what he was doing when he kicked back into the sky. Or maybe he understood perfectly and sacrificed himself. Perhaps he looked into my eyes and glimpsed a future that he couldn't bear to see, choosing instead to spare himself the suffering. I'm afraid we'll never know for sure.